My name is Tammy Daddario, 31 years old. There's a specific flavor of silence that comes after a laugh that isn't funny. It lands like a napkin tossed on a wine spill, too thin to matter, too late to save anything. We were at Valeria, the Italian place with the wobbly table in the back. The server balanced 2 bowls of rigatoni, the steam perfuming the air with basil and butter. My boyfriend, Mason, 29, had his phone face up beside the bread basket. I wasn't trying to be a detective. I was trying to stop the table from rocking. That's when the screen lit. A honey yellow icon. A cheerful little affirmation bubble. Bumble. He flipped the phone over like it burned him. Then he laughed. "Don't look at me like that," he said, eyes bright with a performance grin. "It's just browsing. Everyone does it." "Everyone who?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "We've lived together for 8 months." He twirled pasta like he had all the time in the world. "Tammy, we split rent. We like each other. We're not," he shrugged, "that serious." There's a moment when your heart realizes it's alone at the table and your body hasn't caught up yet. Mine sat there, nodding, drinking water, tasting nothing. I put the napkin in my lap. The air conditioning hummed like a refrigerator in another room. "Good point," I said. He blinked, surprised that the grenade didn't explode. He leaned back, easy. He ordered tiramisu like it was any Sunday. On the walk home, he held my hand and complained about his manager. I counted the cracks in the sidewalk and told myself that the planets were exactly where they were supposed to be, one drifting away, one rotating quietly toward its own sun. Mason went to bed early, his cologne lingering on the bathroom's fogged mirror. I stared at our toothbrushes like they were props from a play that had closed. If we're not that serious, the math is simple. Wednesday morning, I made coffee that tasted like pennies and searched my phone for old ghosts. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. The muscle memory was still there. Permissions, photos, a bio I no longer believed. I hated doing it. I also hated standing alone on a battlefield with my hands behind my back while the other side launched fireworks. Within an hour, matches stacked up like receipts I didn't ask for. Compliments. Thirst traps. Men who love spontaneity. I scrolled until a face stopped me. Noah. Noah, as in Noah Caldwell, Mason's younger brother. The one who remembered my favorite tea. The one who borrowed books and returned them with sticky notes in the margins. The one who, at Christmas, stood beside me at the sink, drying dishes, and said softly, "You're good for him," like a wish he was afraid to ask out loud. He had super liked me. I stared at the blue star like I'd found a live wire. A dozen rational sentences lined up in my head. Then another voice, quieter, meaner, whispered, "We're not that serious." I matched back. The message arrived instantly. "Noah. Tammy? Noah. What are you doing on here?" I typed, erased, typed again. "Me. Same thing Mason is. Window shopping." His words, not mine. His reply took a full minute, long enough to hear my own heartbeat in my ears. "Noah. He told Mom you two were basically engaged." Noah. "Guess he didn't tell you that part." I swallowed hard. Engaged. The word pinballed between my ribs, denting everything it touched. Me. "He told me last night we're not that serious." Me. "Apps are normal when you live together, apparently." When the dots appeared, I pictured him sitting at his kitchen counter, forehead creased, coffee going cold. Noah. "That's not normal." Noah. "I'm sorry, you don't deserve that." A warmth swam up through my chest and lodged in my throat, inconvenient as tears in a meeting. Noah. "Sunday dinner is still on." Noah. "He told Mom you're both coming at 6. Did he tell you?" He hadn't. Of course he hadn't. Control the invite, control the moment. Me. "He'll tell me Friday, last minute." Noah. "Sounds like him." Noah. "You should still come." I stared. "You should still come." To what? An ambush? A theater? Me. "That would be chaos." Noah. "Sometimes chaos tells the truth faster." I should have unmatched. I should have closed the app and called my best friend and cried into a sweatshirt. Instead, I told the truth that wanted out. Me. "I feel stupid." Noah. "You're not stupid. You believed what he wanted you to believe." Noah. "That's called being committed. He's the one who isn't." A pause. My fingers moved without permission. Me. "Did you super like me before or after you knew about the apps?" Noah. "Before." Noah. "Temporary insanity." Noah. "You were supposed to swipe left like a good girlfriend." I laughed out loud. An honest one. The first in 24 hours. Me. "Good thing I'm not that serious, apparently." We talked for 3 hours. About nothing and everything. The TV shows that died after perfect first seasons. How grief feels like a long hallway. How he hates cilantro. And I think cilantro tastes like the inside of a good secret. He never flirted. He studied. He didn't try to make it fun. He tried to make it true. That afternoon, Mason was affectionate in a way that felt like stage lighting. Brighter where he wanted my eyes. He made my favorite dinner and scrolled his phone at red lights, dismissing pop-ups like fruit flies. I watched reflection flicker across his jaw and thought, a person can be two things for a very long time, until both halves want the whole body and everything breaks. Friday midday, Mason finally remembered to play host. Oh, he said, breezy, as if it had just now occurred. Dinner at my parents' Sunday, 6 o'clock. Dress nice. I smiled with all my teeth. Wouldn't miss it. Saturday morning, a message from Noah. Noah, still on for tomorrow's chaos? Me. Your brother has no idea what's coming. Noah. Not a clue. Noah. Wear something that makes you feel like you can breathe. I opened my closet and realized how many of my clothes were bought for someone else's camera. Dresses that photograph well. Shoes that silence me after 2 hours. Sweaters that look soft and feel like wire. I picked the navy wrap dress I wore to my promotion, the one that never pinched when I had to say 5 hard things in a single meeting. It's not flashy, it's honest. Sunday arrived faster than my courage. Mason needed 2 hours to decide which version of himself to present. He chose charm offensive with a hint of cologne meant to erase evidence. In the passenger seat, I watched his reflection in the window and tried to remember what it felt like to trust a face without cross-examining the eyes. We pulled up at 5:45 to the Caldwell house, porch light and already on, roses cut short, the evening sky, the color of dishwater after tomato sauce. His mother, Lydia, folded me into a hug that smelled like oregano and lemon soap. His father, Franklin, shook my hand with both of his, warm and steady. Family photos lined the hall. Noah with a fish almost bigger than he was. Mason in a tux he didn't look comfortable in. Noah was in the living room. He stood when we entered, hands in his pockets, the way nice men make room in a doorway. His gaze met mine, no wink, no secret, just acknowledgement. It made the floor stop tilting. Tammy, he said soft, good to see you. You too. I felt Mason's shoulder blade graze my arm, possession masquerading as familiarity. At the table, Lydia served lasagna like it was her love language. Franklin poured wine and made a dad joke about carbs, and for 3 minutes I believe we might pass the evening flinching at small talk. Then Noah cleared his throat, gentle, deliberate. So, he said, eyes on his plate. Kind of weird thing Thursday. He lifted his phone. Mason, your profile popped up on Bumble. Says active today. The room paused the way a heart does between beats. Lydia blinked. Bumble? She looked at me. That's a dating app, right? Mason chuckled, that same wobbly laugh. Mom, it's not a big deal. Everyone stays on. It's normal. While you live together, Franklin's voice cooled. And call it serious? Mason shrugged easy. We're not that serious. The words didn't land this time. They cracked. And the crack ran along the table like a fault line in oak. I set my fork down. Thank you for dinner, Lydia. It's wonderful. I looked at Mason's parents. Just to be clear, he's been on apps the entire time. He told me it's normal. Lydia's eyes widened with a kind of hurt I recognized. A mother realizing the person she raised is not the person she hoped. Franklin's jaw worked like he was grinding a stone. Noah inhaled as if to speak again, but the moment had already chosen its next move. And I had chosen mine. 2 can play. 2 can tell the truth. 2 can stop pretending the table isn't already on fire. Good point, I said softly, to the room, to myself, to the woman who decided this morning to stop building a house on sand. If it's not serious, then what are we doing here? The chandelier hummed. Somewhere a timer dinged in the kitchen. Lydia didn't move. I lifted my glass, steady hands, steady voice. To clarity, I said. Noah's eyes lifted. No smile, only agreement. Mason laughed again. This time nobody joined him. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of consequences. The silence at the Caldwell dinner table didn't just hang. It spread, like spilled wine chasing the grain of the wood. Mason's laugh trailed off into a weak cough. Come on, he muttered, forcing a grin toward his parents. This is being blown out of proportion. I told Tammy it's not serious because I didn't want to pressure her. I was being considerate. I blinked slowly. Considerate, that was a new word for deceit. Lydia put her fork down with deliberate grace. You live together, Mason. How exactly is that not serious? He rolled his shoulders. We split rent, Mom. You and Dad did the same when you were dating. Franklin's expression hardened. We didn't. We got engaged after 6 months. Don't twist history to sound modern. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The weight of everyone's disappointment was doing the work for me. Noah leaned back, eyes flicking between us. Mason, you told me last month that Tammy was the one. You even said you were thinking of proposing. The fork slipped from Lydia's fingers. You said that? Mason's face reddened. I was considering it. Doesn't mean what? I asked quietly. Doesn't mean you'd have deleted your dating apps first? He glared at me. You're loving this, aren't you? Trying to humiliate me in front of my family. I'm just confirming what you said, I replied. You said we're not serious. I believed you. Noah exhaled, rubbing his temple. You know, Mason, I used to think Tammy brought out your best side. I'm starting to think she's the only reason you even had one. Mason shot him a deadly glare. Stay out of this. Franklin's voice was sharp enough to slice the air. He has every right to speak. You embarrassed all of us. The temperature in the room shifted. No longer warm family comfort, but a slow boil of shame. Lydia folded her hands tightly. Mason, are you still active on those apps? He hesitated. I mean, they stay logged in, Mom. You can't really delete them. Noah lifted his phone. Actually, you can. He turned the screen toward the table. Here, look, it says active today. Lydia gasped. Franklin's jaw tightened. Mason's voice cracked. You looked me up? Noah's tone was calm. No, I matched with Tammy, remember? Her profile came up right after yours. Kind of poetic symmetry, don't you think? The room went completely still. Lydia's napkin slipped from her lap onto the tile. What? Mason's voice pitched high, disbelief bleeding into fury. You matched with my girlfriend? Noah didn't blink. You said she wasn't your girlfriend. You said you weren't serious. I caught Lydia's hand trembling near her glass. Franklin looked like he wanted to leave the room but couldn't. Mason's chair scraped back violently as he stood. You're disgusting, he spat at Noah. You're my brother. Noah's voice stayed calm, but his eyes burned. And you're a coward. The air snapped like ice cracking on a lake. I rose from my seat. You can both stop. This isn't about who matched with who. This is about honesty and what you do when someone shows you who they are. Lydia finally spoke, voice low but steady. Tammy, honey, did you know Noah was on those apps? Yes, I admitted, but we didn't plan it. I found Mason's profile, and when Noah saw mine, he messaged to ask what was going on. He was the one who told me Mason had been telling everyone we were practically engaged. Lydia's expression softened with maternal heartbreak. I don't understand what happened to you, she whispered to Mason. You used to be such a loyal boy. Mom, stop making this bigger than it is, he snapped. People flirt online all the time. It's not cheating. It's disrespect, Franklin said sharply, and disrespect ends relationships. Mason turned to me, eyes blazing. You're enjoying this. You wanted me to look bad. No, I said quietly. You did that all on your own. Noah covered his mouth, stifling a bitter laugh. Lydia stood up, collecting plates just to have something to do. I think dinner is over, she murmured. But Mason wasn't done. You know what, Tammy? You can stay here with my family if you like them so much. Maybe you and Noah can keep talking about honesty. His tone was poison wrapped in a smirk. I kept my posture straight. Thank you for proving to everyone what I've been living with. He sneered. You think you're so perfect. You're probably on those apps right now, too. Noah slammed his hand on the table. Stop talking to her like that. Franklin intervened, voice low but dangerous. Mason, sit down before you make things worse. Mason ignored him and stormed toward the front door. I'm done being ganged up on. You can all go to hell. The door slammed so hard the family photos rattled. The silence afterward wasn't relief. It was something rawer, heavier. Lydia covered her face with both hands. Franklin sat back, rubbing his eyes. Noah just stared at the door like he'd seen this movie before. After a long beat, Lydia whispered, I'm sorry, Tammy. You didn't deserve to find out this way. I swallowed hard, the sting in my throat sharp. It's okay. I'd rather know the truth than live with a lie. Franklin nodded slowly. That's the right answer. Noah gave me a look. Not flirtatious, not pitying, just quiet solidarity. After helping Lydia clear the plates, I gathered my coat. Thank you for dinner, I said softly. Lydia managed a faint smile. You're always welcome here, Tammy. Always. As I walked to the door, Noah followed me outside. The evening air was cool, scented faintly of wet grass and rain. He stopped near my car. I'm sorry for tonight, he said. I didn't mean for it to get so nuclear. I met his gaze. Sometimes the truth needs an explosion. He exhaled, the corners of his mouth twitching. You okay? No, I said honestly, but I will be. He nodded. If you ever need anything. I know, I interrupted gently. You already did enough. I got into the car. Before closing the door, I added, You didn't have to defend me in there, but thank you. He smiled faintly. Guess chaos does tell the truth faster. I smiled back, weary, but genuine. Good night, Noah. As I drove off, the Caldwell house grew smaller in the rearview mirror. The windows still glowing, one light flickering in the living room. I thought of Lydia, probably crying softly into her hands, of Franklin, disappointed, of Noah, standing alone on the porch, and of Mason, somewhere in the dark, rehearsing excuses he'd never get to use again. The quiet hum of the car became the only sound. I didn't feel free yet. I felt hollow, but somewhere inside that hollow space, a seed of peace began to grow. By the time I reached my apartment, I already knew I wasn't going back. The apartment was darker than usual when I came home that night, like even the light switches had decided to stay out of it. Mason wasn't there, thank God. I sat on the couch for what felt like hours, replaying every word from dinner, every flash of his smirk, every glance from his family that had said we finally see him for who he is. By morning, the silence broke with the sound of his key turning in the lock. He stumbled in, sunglasses on, the faint smell of whiskey still clinging to his clothes. Wow, he said, throwing his keys on the counter. Guess the rumor mill's fast in this family. I didn't move. Your parents called? He laughed, bitter. Mom cried. Dad lectured. Noah. He sneered the name. Apparently thinks he's the family moral compass now. And you? You just sat there smiling, letting them rip into me. I didn't let them do anything, I said calmly. You did that yourself. He yanked open the fridge door, grabbed a beer, though it was barely 9 a.m. You think you're some victim? You're not. You embarrassed me in front of my parents. You used Noah to do it. I stared at him, the last drop of sympathy evaporating. You humiliated yourself. You lied, Mason. You stayed on dating apps the entire time we lived together. You told me we weren't serious. I just believed you. He slammed the fridge shut so hard the magnets fell off. You're twisting everything. You wanted to hurt me. I stood up. No, I wanted to stop hurting for you. For a moment, he just stared, like he didn't understand the sentence, like it was in a language he'd never learned. Then his jaw tightened. So that's it? You think you can just throw away what we had? What did we have? I asked. A shared lease and a few filtered photos? Because I thought it was a relationship. Turns out it was a one-woman show with an audience of none. He pointed at me, eyes glassy. You're overreacting. You're always so dramatic. I just wanted a little fun. Some attention. Doesn't mean I didn't love you. Don't say that word, I said, my voice barely steady. You don't get to use it like duct tape after breaking everything. He threw his beer into the sink. The crash made me flinch, but I didn't back up. You're unbelievable, he growled. You think you're so perfect, Tammy? You were on those apps too. I met his glare. For 3 days. After 18 months of your open options. And you know what? Even then, I didn't meet anyone. I just learned how lonely it feels to share a bed with someone who's already halfway gone. The fight drained out of him all at once. He sank onto the couch, head in his hands. I made a mistake. No, I said softly. You made a pattern. He looked up. Can't we just move past this? I'll delete the apps. I'll prove it to you. I shook my head. You already proved who you are. I walked to the bedroom, grabbed a suitcase from under the bed, and started folding his clothes into it. He watched, silent for a moment, then stood. You're really kicking me out? You said we're not serious. So this isn't a breakup, it's just logistics. He laughed once, a sound too sharp to be real. You're cold. No, I said, I'm done. He stomped toward me, looming. You'll regret this. You think anyone else will put up with your moods? Your constant control? Funny, I said, zipping the suitcase. You couldn't even control yourself. That did it. His hand twitched, just enough for me to step back. He didn't touch me. He just stood there, trembling, his face crumbling into something almost pitiful. Then he spat. You can keep the damn furniture. I'll get my stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow, I confirmed. Between noon and 2. I'll be gone. You can take whatever's yours. He stormed out, the door rattling behind him. For 10 long minutes, I just stood there, breathing. The apartment felt like an exhale that had waited months to leave my lungs. By evening, I'd changed the locks, emailed the landlord, and sent a short message to our mutual friends. Tammy, just a heads up. Mason and I broke up. Reason. Found his active dating profiles. He said we weren't that serious. I'm fine. just clearing the air before the story mutates. Then I attached screenshots, no captions, no drama, just truth. Within the hour, my phone lit up. Leah, wait, he told everyone you two were engaged. Devin, girl, what? He flirted with me on Bumble last month. I didn't think it was him. Amber, you did the right thing. He's been shady for a while. Even Brittany, his best friend, texted privately. Brittany, I told him to delete those apps months ago. He laughed, said, Tammy will never find out. I'm so sorry. I turned off my phone, not out of sadness, but peace. The truth was working faster than revenge ever could. The next morning, the building manager called. Ms. Daddario, a man named Mason Caldwell is here saying he needs entry to retrieve his belongings. He's not on the lease anymore, I said evenly. He can collect what's his tomorrow, supervised. Understood, the manager replied. For the first time, I felt something I hadn't in months. Control. Quiet, grounded, unglamorous control. Later that day, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Mason, of course. Mason, you're making me look bad. Me. You did that yourself. Mason, you'll regret this. Me. No, you will. He called 10 times. I didn't answer once. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and opened the curtains. Outside, the city pulsed with the kind of life that didn't ask for permission. Somewhere in it, a version of me was walking away for the first time and not looking back. I whispered to her, keep going. Because that version of me wasn't pretending anymore. Saturday arrived wrapped in unease. A quiet, trembling sort of day, where the air itself feels like it's waiting for something to go wrong. At 1:55 p.m., my phone buzzed, a message from the front desk. Manager, Ms. Daddario, Mason Caldwell is here with his family, parents and older brother. Should I let them up? I hesitated before replying. Older brother. So Noah wasn't coming. Maybe that was for the best. Me. Yes, I'll meet them at the door. When the elevator opened, Mason was already fuming. His mother Lydia stepped out first, her face drawn and tired. His father Franklin followed, carrying 2 empty boxes. Behind them trailed Mason, jaw clenched, and his older brother Tony, the only calm face among them. Tammy, Lydia said softly, thank you for letting us do this peacefully. Of course, I said, and let's keep it that way. Mason brushed past me without a word, heading straight for the bedroom. I stayed in the living room with Lydia and Franklin. Tony lingered near the door, arms folded. I'll keep an eye on him, he said under his breath. Don't worry. I gave a faint nod. From the bedroom came drawers slamming, hangers scraping, the occasional muttered curse, the sounds of someone collecting fragments of a life they'd ruined. Then Mason's voice rang out, Where's my watch? Franklin frowned. What watch? The gold one, Mason said, storming out with wild eyes. The one Grandpa gave me. It was on the dresser. She stole it. I blinked. Excuse me? He pointed at me. Don't play innocent. You probably pawned it out of spite. My pulse spiked, but I refused to raise my voice. You left it at your parents' house, Mason. You never even brought it here. He sneered. Oh, right. Convenient memory. Tony stepped forward. Mason, knock it off. You probably misplaced it. Let's just grab your stuff and go. Mason ignored him. No, she's lying. She's probably giving it to Noah for all I know. Maybe that's how she's paying him for turning on me. Lydia's eyes widened. Mason! But he was unraveling. Yeah, let's all pretend Tammy's this sweet little victim. She matched with my brother, for God's sake. Tony's patience snapped. You told everyone you weren't serious with her. You made this mess. Stop blaming other people for the fallout. Mason's voice cracked, high and ugly. You don't know what she's like. I know exactly what she's like, Tony interrupted. A decent person who didn't deserve any of this. Mason's face went red. For a second, I thought he'd swing at his own brother. Tony took a single step closer, and Mason backed down. Lydia's voice trembled. Mason, we're leaving. Get what you came for and stop this nonsense. He muttered something I didn't catch, then vanished back into the bedroom. The air was suffocating. I could feel Lydia's embarrassment thick in the silence. Franklin rubbed the bridge of his nose. I'm sorry, Tammy. We raised him better than this. I know, I said softly. You're not the ones who need to apologize. They both looked so exhausted that for a brief moment, pity tugged at me. 10 minutes later, Mason emerged carrying the suitcase I'd packed for him, plus an armful of random junk I was pretty sure wasn't his. Take it all, I said quietly. Whatever helps you sleep at night. He smirked. You think you're above everyone now, huh? No, I said, meeting his gaze. Just above this. Tony stepped in immediately. That's it, we're done. Mom, Dad, let's go. As they left, Mason turned back one last time. His voice dropped low, almost shaking. "You'll regret this, Tammy. You'll be alone forever. No one's ever going to love you like I did." I smiled faintly. "That's the plan." He froze, then stormed out. The door clicked shut behind them. I leaned against it and let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped in my chest for years. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Noah. "Noah, I just got off the phone with Mom. She said Mason accused you of stealing his watch." Me. "Yeah. Said I pawned it." Noah. "He sold it himself, Tammy, 2 months ago. I have proof." My fingers froze. Me. "Proof?" Noah. "Screenshots. He told me not to tell Mom, but he sold Grandpa's watch on eBay for $400. He used the money for concert tickets." A shaky laugh escaped me. "Of course he did." Me. "Can you send them?" Noah. "Already did." The photos came through. Mason's eBay listing, the payment receipt, the timestamp. I forwarded everything to Lydia. 10 minutes later, she replied, "Lydia, I'm so sorry. We're handling it. Please don't respond to him if he contacts you again." I didn't, but Mason wasn't done. That night, he posted a TikTok titled, "When Your Girlfriend Betrays You and Turns Your Family Against You." He cried on camera, talking about how I stole his things, cheated with his brother, and manipulated his parents. The clip racked up 30,000 views in the first 2 hours. The comments section, however, didn't go his way. At Natalie Soho, "Dude, weren't you the one on dating apps while living with her?" At the Lasagna Lady, "His mom literally commented last week defending her. I smell guilt." At Noah Caldwell, verified account, "Bro, delete this before you embarrass yourself further." It was Noah's comment that sealed it. The post vanished within the hour, but the internet never forgets. Someone screen recorded it and uploaded it on X with the caption, "Tell me you're delusional without telling me you're delusional." By morning, the clip had gone viral. Mason's name trended for all the wrong reasons. He tried damage control, claiming it was just a skit. No one believed him. Even his coworkers joined the mockery with memes and inside jokes about keeping your options open. Lydia texted again. "Lydia, Mason's having a hard time. He quit his job yesterday. Franklin and I are trying to get him therapy." Me. "That's good. He needs help." Lydia, "We want you to know you don't owe us anything. You've been gracious." I put the phone down, suddenly tired. When the adrenaline finally faded, I sat in silence for a long time. The storm had passed, but in its wake was something stranger than peace, emptiness. In the corner, the broken mug he'd shattered still lay in pieces. I picked it up, one shard at a time, dropping each into the trash. When I looked out the window, the city was washed clean from rain. The streetlights shimmered, and I realized something quietly miraculous. I didn't feel small anymore. He could make videos. He could rewrite the story. But I had survived the extinction. And survival was louder than any scandal. 3 weeks passed. Long enough for the noise to fade, but not long enough for the echoes to die. Every morning, I woke up expecting another message, another accusation, another social media stunt. But the silence stayed. And somewhere in that silence, peace started to bloom. I'd changed my number, moved apartments. Even the view was different. New skyline, new coffee shop below my building, new life. The first morning I unpacked, I looked out at the city and realized, for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was living inside someone else's story. Then, one afternoon, a message arrived in my email inbox. Subject, "Just checking in." It was from Noah. Noah, "Hey Tammy, I heard you moved. Mom mentioned you got a new job near downtown. Congrats. Hope you're doing okay. No pressure to reply. Just wanted to make sure you're breathing again." N. I stared at the screen for a long minute. My first instinct was to delete it, but I didn't. Me. "Hi Noah, breathing? Yes, occasionally even sleeping. Thanks for asking." He replied the next day. "Noah, that's progress. Small steps count. Coffee sometime? As friends, obviously. Promise no family drama. Just caffeine." I almost laughed. The irony. Coffee and calm in a world built from chaos. Still, something in me said yes. Me. "Okay, coffee as friends, nothing else." We met the next weekend at a small cafe that smelled like cinnamon and late afternoons. He was already there, 2 mugs waiting, sleeves rolled up, looking more human than I remembered. Tired, but solid. "Didn't think you'd actually come," he said with a half smile. "Didn't think I'd actually say yes," I admitted. The first 10 minutes were awkward. That fragile small talk people make when standing on the ruins of old disasters. But soon it eased. We talked about work, about the weather, about how his mom was taking pottery classes to process emotions productively. Pottery, I said. That's poetic. She threw a bowl across the room when it collapsed on the wheel, he said dryly. Dad said at least she's consistent. I laughed, really laughed, and for a second it startled me. I hadn't heard my own laughter in so long it sounded like a foreign song. Noah looked at me and smiled. You sound lighter. I feel lighter, I said. Still a little bruised, but lighter. He nodded. You know, Mom keeps saying you were the only one in that whole mess who handled it with grace. I don't know about grace, I said. Mostly survival. Same thing sometimes. We finished our coffee in comfortable silence. When we stood, he hesitated. You know, I didn't message you just because I felt bad. I know, I said softly. Then you also know I'm not rushing anything, he added. You've earned the right to move slow. I looked up at him. Calm, steady, no performance. For once, someone wasn't trying to win me. He was just there. I think slow is exactly what I need, I said. From that day, we started talking. Slowly, carefully, without the weight of expectation. Texts about work, about movies, about nothing at all. No grand gestures, no games. A month later, we met again. Another coffee, another afternoon, another easy silence. He mentioned that Mason had moved out of state, that his parents were finally sleeping through the night again. That's good, I said. They deserve peace. You do too, he replied. There was something in the way he said it. Not romantic, not dramatic, just true. And in that truth, something shifted. By late spring, it became more than coffee. Walks by the river, quiet dinners, inside jokes. He never once asked about Mason, never tried to fill the silence that Mason left. He let it breathe. One night, as we watched city lights shimmer on the water, Noah said, You know, Mom calls us the reconstruction project. I smiled. Rebuilding after the collapse? Exactly, he laughed softly. Only difference is, you were the foundation all along. Mason just didn't know it. I looked at him, unsure whether to cry or smile. That's too poetic for you. I had a good influence, he said, eyes warm. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Sometimes peace doesn't announce itself. It just walks in quietly, sits beside you, and stays. That night, as I got home, I opened my phone to find a message from Lydia. Lydia, Tammy, I know things are complicated, but I just want to thank you. You taught all of us something about respect and boundaries and what it means to love without losing yourself. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be. I smiled, heart tight. Maybe I wasn't there yet. Not fully happy, not fully healed, but I was on the road, and this time I wasn't walking alone. It's been 3 months since the day I closed the door on Mason Caldwell for the last time, and in those 3 months my world has gotten quieter, slower, and infinitely clearer. I still remember the chaos, the slammed doors, the accusations, the TikTok fallout, the sleepless nights replaying every lie. But now, when I think about him, it's like watching an old movie. I know how it ends, and I don't feel anything anymore. The ring money I'd secretly saved for our future, I invested it. Index funds. Every time the graph goes up, I smile. Not because of the profit, but because it means something is growing where something else once died. Noah and I are together now. Yes, together. Before anyone gasps, no, it didn't happen overnight. We waited. 2 months of nothing but coffee and quiet. No flirting, no drama, just two people trying to learn what healthy feels like. And when it finally shifted, one slow evening, when he walked me home and I reached for his hand without thinking, it wasn't electric, it was steady, like peace choosing me back. His family knows. Lydia cried the first time she saw us together, not out of shock, but relief. Franklin, ever the dry one, said, At least someone got it right this time. Even Tony teased Noah mercilessly. Guess you really took keeping it in the family to heart. We laughed it off, because for once there was nothing to hide. Lydia invites us to dinner once a month now. Her lasagna still tastes like warmth and forgiveness. The first time we went, she hugged me tight and whispered, You're home now, Tammy. And I believed her. Mason hasn't contacted me since he moved. Last I heard, through Tony, he's living with an aunt in Nevada, still trying to convince himself he's the victim. Apparently, he started a relationship advice podcast. It lasted 3 episodes. Part of me used to wonder if karma would ever come for him. Turns out karma doesn't need to chase anyone. It just waits, patiently, while people build their own traps. Meanwhile, I've been learning what genuine love looks like. It's not grand gestures or fireworks. It's Noah texting, Did you eat? When I forget to. It's him putting his phone away when we're together, No dating apps, no distractions. It's him looking at me like I'm not someone to prove something to, but someone he's grateful to keep. Sometimes the ghosts of old insecurities still whisper, "What if this breaks too? What if it's another performance?" And when they do, I tell him. I don't hide it. He listens, always listens. Then he smiles that soft, grounding smile and says, "You're safe here, Tammy. You don't have to test that anymore." We don't live together, not yet. We both agreed. Space keeps us honest. He has his place, I have mine. But every Sunday, we cook dinner together. No phones, no noise. Just two people who know exactly how much chaos they've survived. One Sunday evening, as we cleared the table, he said, "You ever think about how it all started?" I laughed. "Which part? The dating apps? The lasagna explosion?" "All of it," he said. "I mean, if Mason hadn't been awful, we never would have crossed that line." "Funny," I said. "Your brother's biggest mistake was accidentally setting us free." He grinned. "That's one way to look at it." Then he turned serious. "You know what I love most about you?" I raised an eyebrow. "My sarcasm?" He chuckled. "That, and the fact that you never tried to make me fix what he broke. You just started over, from scratch." That one got me. I looked away before my eyes betrayed me. Because maybe that's what healing really is. Not proving the past wrong, but finally living in a way that doesn't need to mention it anymore. After he left that night, I sat by the window, sipping tea, watching the city pulse below. Across the street, a neon sign blinked, "Open 24 hours." And I thought, that's what I am now. Open. For peace. For growth. For love that doesn't need defending. My phone buzzed. A message from Lydia. "Lydia, just wanted to say how proud I am of both of you. Franklin's teaching Noah poker tonight. Maybe you'll join next time?" Me. "Only if I can cheat." Lydia. "You already won, dear. No need." I smiled, put my phone down, and looked out at the skyline one more time. In another life, I might have written Mason a letter, tried to explain how he taught me to value honesty, loyalty, and the quiet joy of being understood. But he doesn't deserve a letter. Some people only learn through silence, and mine is deafening. Because the best revenge isn't making them see your worth. It's living a life so full, so peaceful, so unrecognizable from the person they broke, that they wouldn't know where to find you, even if they tried. So if you're reading this, Mason, and I know you still Google my name sometimes, thank you. You didn't destroy me. You just cleared the space for something better to grow. And I did.